we just saw last round with how strong the ring can be in these control decks. But Cris, no stranger to playing this matchup, had a couple top 8s last year when Yorion was still in the format and 4-color control was at its height playing the Abzan Yawgmoth deck. So their deck got worse. Chris's deck got better. We'll have to see how this round plays out.
Yeah. Oh, do you see that? Like a foil fetch land into Undying Wolf, like the contrast, still loving it.
Yeah.
Yagmoth, the Undying Yagmoth, I guess.
Yes.
Probably like you'd rather see a mono dog on the first turn, but I mean, solid start, and we'll see where we take it. Like, I guess the 4-color control deck is, they have some interaction, right? So they might be able to break up some of the combos that Abzan is gonna be able to present. But for now, Caleb is probably just like happy making his land drops and casting Planeswalkers. No, just passing, no run in 6, nothing. Run in 6 would be awkward here, I guess.
Yeah, you probably just take up and get your cards, call it a day. So one of the things about this 4-color deck, Julian, is there's kind of 2 angles to attack the Abzan Yawgmoth deck when it comes to a big picture wise, and obviously we figure it out when we're in the round. You either want to attack the creatures surrounding Yawgmoth, right? This is good when you don't have counterspell in your deck, and you basically make it so when Yawgmoth comes down, it doesn't do very much and can't really combo. Or we try to directly fight over the card Yawgmoth in particular, and just let them have their sort of dinky little creatures, and you invalidate those with Omnath in the later game.
Oh, that's so smart. This is why we have you in the commentary booth. I'm loving it. I never really looked at the matchup that way, but it makes a lot of sense because, like, once you take out the actual engine, this Yagmoth, there's a lot of creatures that are probably not even like Pioneer playable, but Yagmoth is the one that completely like puts them to the next level. Like, I've seen legacy players lose to this exact deck because people lined up in the wrong queue.
Yeah, yeah. Congratulations to Honorog there. We missed you.
Dude, I was not going to mention him exactly that.
Oh, my bad. We're not supposed to say Honorog. Is he not watching us right now? Hi, Honorog.
I guess at this point it was just implied.
Yeah. Well, who else could it be that's playing Legacy? I mean, come on. Not even Lisette plays anymore. But anyways, as we do see here, the Young Wolf and then the passing of the turn, getting a fetch land.
Yeah. Also, another awesome card here, Wall of Fruits. Old frame foil, dude. I'm already like in love with this deck.
Yeah, Cris has a big love for the Yawgmoth deck. Like I said, been playing it for a long time. Definitely a pet product of his. Also, within Cris here also has the Switch Gaming logo on his chest there, just like Steven Dykman. That's a team based out of, I believe, the Michigan area. They love to come out to our events, and they stream a bunch there. So you're going to see them a lot here on the tour. As Boseiju, it's a draw for turn. It's something Cris has something very funny to get drawn. I don't know what it is though.
Cris is loving life. He's just gonna get all of these like random creatures down, and I mean the beatdown. At this point, the beatdown is real. Another Strangleroot Geist, Mirror Gallery. Like we got basically 2 of the same creatures twice. And later I'm breaking up the symmetry. Caleb, not a fan of symmetry.
Yeah, Caleb, known math hater.
What is Caleb actually building towards? Right, we haven't seen like any removal spells yet. We at least like exile buys. Yeah, the ring. Okay,
yeah.
Straight up, here comes the ring. Putting on the ring, becoming invisible once again for a turn, drawing a card. And this is the ring all over again, so it's going to be interesting. Interestingly, like Cris, if Cris presents the infinite combo, is there a way to get around the One Ring some way?
So I believe that Blood Artist says target player. Which, if that is the case, we can just do it in the upkeep. But
I think we're actually not playing Blood Artist at all, unless I loses one life.
Yeah, so Blood Artist is target, but maybe I thought there was normally there's a Blood Artist, but it looks like Cris foregoing Blood Artist this weekend does have Samwise Gamgee and the Cauldron Familiar that will kill through the One Ring because Cauldron Familiar does not target.
Each opponent, not target upon. Yeah. So the One Ring is not gonna protect Caleb there if Cris ever goes for it. That's cool.
Yeah,
I guess it depends on which way you look at it. I just like that there's a way to get around the ring in the first place at some point.
Yeah, and we're seeing it here. Why you have to be really careful, and maybe you have to fight. We talked about you can fight either over the Yawgmoth, which is stronger if your deck has counterspell, or the surrounding creatures. Right now, we've in response corded for for the Prosperous Innkeeper. Now we get to draw as many cards as we want and not lose any life. We're going to break even on the exchange. So unless Caleb has another sort of thing, so Cris is going to draw and basically get what he wants, and then when he's done, he'll just call it a day. We'll probably see Caleb draw at least 10 cards before and just, at worst, loot away a couple extra cards he doesn't want.
So which kind of hand are you looking to build here? Because like you already can like put all the common pieces you want into your hand. There's not really much interaction that you can draw. I guess like Chord of Calling is kind of like interaction. I guess Endurance, but that doesn't really do much here.
So an important, we have 2 Endurances, so we can actually, we're one away. I was gonna say you can invoke Endurance, Chord for another Yawgmoth, and just work from there. But we're 1 mana short on that department. Looks like we are just going to cast Cauldron Familiar. Oh, and it looks like what happened is we tried to Solitude one of the creatures, maybe. And that's why the Yawg's still in play. It wasn't actually the Yawgmoth. That's my mistake there. So we're going to keep drawing. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to find Endurance, Julian, and then convoke out Samwise Gamgee. And then we can drain equal to the number of cards we have in deck, but we'll just do all of this after we move to discard in the upkeep. And
can drain equal to the number of cards you get into the deck, because we have to, let me figure this out.
You have to draw a card with the Yawgmoth.
Oh, because you have to draw a card. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So the Yawgmoth, you could technically target something that like the target then fizzles, but we need to sacrifice the cat.
What if you like, I don't know, is there a way to use the Endurances to get our deck back into the deck to deal more?
Yeah, so we can basically evoke there and discard, but also what's going to happen is Cris is going to move to the end step, do that, and then probably upkeep this from Caleb. But it looks like he's actually just doing in the main phase.
So chat is asking whether Solitude is still on the stack.
I think Solitude is supposed to be in the graveyard.
Because it got evoked and did it?
Yeah,
no.
Well, I don't know how we cast the Cauldron Familiar. Yeah. Maybe get a judge involved. I was under the assumption that my mistake, chat, from how this happened is that we had actually targeted the other thing. Let's get a judge down there. Maybe have the players stop for a second and just make sure. I'm sure that they know. There might just be something we missed, right?
Is the Familiar like corded or something in response? I don't know.
I felt like he used the treasure. Maybe he did cord and I just didn't notice.
Yeah.
Let's. I'm gonna put in a little chat.
If that's actually what happened, that's gonna be a nightmare to figure out. But okay, we're gonna see.
Very bad. We'll see what happens here.
But you can certainly tell, like Cris is very familiar with how his deck works. Like, just like going through. Is that the last card in his deck, by the way? Is that Aquaman? I just realized.
Maybe, yeah. It's Aquaman's his sleeves. Also, it's one of those things too where Cris. Yeah, I don't know, Cris. I mean, maybe something. I feel like we just missed something.
Cris shuffling back his graveyard, I would guess, with those 2 Endurances.
But now the Cauldron Familiar is in the deck. But it wasn't before. And now he's going to chord the Cauldron. How did we get the Cauldron first play?
Maybe it wasn't actually put into play and just revealed for something. I'm not sure. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. But nobody. Yeah, the treasure's back in play. So maybe he was saying. But all this is in response to the Sloggers. So I am confused. The specific question is, how did we cast the Cauldron Familiar when response to this Solitude?
Caleb's just sitting there. Okay, this looks impressive. I mean, not too much for him to do at this point.
We understand he can discard the Yawgmoth, which requires 2 black mana, which he doesn't have. He has a treasure, but it looked like he had cast the treasure. Cris didn't shuffle after his chord. Looks like they're asking Cris right now.
Oh no, he's got a certain stance. Oh
yeah. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Twitch chat. Unfortunately, these sort of things can't happen. And you see Caleb, let's come back to the booth.
Like
let's come back to the booth.
Completely missed that there's still something on the stack. Yeah.
It's very easy to make these sort of mistakes. These things happen. I also think Caleb can win in that position. Like, as he was going through stuff, I think he can do all of this in response. Just casting the cat is not one of the things he could have done. So I think we
That
can actually
point.
end up in this, at that point. So I think we can end up in the same place. And I think that's what Cris was trying to do and just flubbed it. These sort of things happen. We make mistakes. In the words of Hannah Montana, Julian, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days.
Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody casts the cat when Solitude is still in the stack. Yeah, I mean, it happens to the best of dude. Yeah.
But, I mean, modern interaction, Cauldron Familiar, Solitude. Everyone knows that one. Bread and butter.
I mean, they're gonna find a solution, right? It's probably might be messy, might not be messy. Is how far they want to turn it back or something. But we'll know in a moment. But seriously, this is already like so impressive again. Like I see the Yagmoth deck in action, and I'm not gonna lie to you. By the way, the first time I ever heard about the Yagmoth deck, I look at that deck list and I was like, oh, this is just like a random mid-range value deck. And then I saw it in action. I was like, wait, that's a combo in there? Like, you're not just like attacking with your like young wolves and Strangleroot Geist. You can actually like kill on the spot. Like, sign me up, seriously. And only one time really played against somebody who was basically like on that level of Cris, where you just go like, my deck is in play, easy. And that was one of the most memorable things that has happened to me in Magic. I love that deck so much.
Yeah, the deck is super sick. It's definitely one of those decks where I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. You know, it kind of popped up during the Urza era too, which was really cool, right? It was like Urza versus Yawgmoth. I love the flavor. You know, we saw Aaron Barrett really dominate with that deck back in the day, and along with Tom Ross. And then things kind of changed, and it came back now, and I was like, oh, wow, this is a deck like I don't really know how to play with. And so I kind of went there and went on that one of those journeys you go on where it's like, all right, I'm going to play a bunch of leagues. I'm going to figure this deck out. I'm going to learn it so I can play this deck. And it was one of those things I did at the beginning of last year, spent like a month really learning Yawgmoth, and it's been great. And it's one of the most rewarding decks to play. You know, there are some decks like the more you play it, the more you get out of it, right? Like you probably feel this with Elves in Legacy or Amulet Titan in Modern, or Yawgmoth in Modern. If you play this deck a lot, you really pick up little small tricks, you learn little things, and we see players dominate with that with consistent results.
So you mentioned you've played this deck a lot. As we are in the process of setting me in the world on that deck, what are the, like, of the most commonly played decks in Modern? What are the ones you want to see? What are the ones you want to avoid?
So Hammer is the one you want to see the most. That matchup's really good for you. You got a lot of blockers that all have like 2 lives, right? So you can jump block forever. Your Yawgmoth for humans, half the creatures are humans. Also, it can shoot down things in response to the Hammer. That's really strong. You do not want to see the 4 and 5 color decks. Those are the problem matchups. So when you run into things like elemental piles, like this matchup, for example, or creativity, you can fall behind really quickly. They have a lot of good exile-based removal, and they can put a lot of pressure on you. So those are kind of the 2 polar ends. And then things in those sort of veins you can assume are problems. I think typically the Murktide versus Yawgmoth matchup is pretty close. I think it's a little bit favored Murktide just because Counterspell and those sort of things, along with spot removal. But strong Yawgmoth players overcome Murktide players quite often. So that's sort of like the range of things you're expecting to see there. Rhinos can be a bit of a problem. Looks like the players are still talking to the judge here, as we can actually sort of still see the future match while we're talking to y'all beautiful faces. Speaking of talking to y'all's beautiful faces, make sure to click the follow button. That way you see our beautiful faces talking to you all the time. We have a lot more Magic today. It is 9 rounds today. We're in round 4 right now. Julian and I are only going to be here for one more round of this, but then you have Doomwake and Dominic Harvey hopping into the booth to take you all the way through the first round top 8. Then tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Central. That's going to be, if you're in a different time zone, roughly 5 hours ago in the past for you, but on the next day. There you go, a little bit of math there, you know, -5 + 24. You're going to have Legacy for you, along with the semifinals and the finals of our Modern event today. And I'm not exactly sure who's doing those, but I know that Dom, Harvey, and I are going to be commentating round 5 through the finals of Legacy tomorrow. I'm very excited to see what players have brought to that event. Orcish Bowmaster, the One Ring, a bunch of really cool cards. Delighted Halfling, right? Like you mentioned, that card's really strong against days and things like that, right? You can't counter these cards. So it's going to be really cool to see sort of what players are playing. And not to mention, I know you know this, Julian, Legacy is so much fun, and it's so much fun to watch too, with all these cool interactions and unique decks popping up.
Yeah, and it's going to be so exciting because we already mentioned this, and I think a lot of podcasts and everybody following Legacy has mentioned how people expect Orcish Bowmasters to have a really big impact on the format. And this is basically, tomorrow is going to be the first big paper tournament where we're going to see those cards in action. And I'm going to be there for the first couple of rounds commentating, and I can't wait. I seriously can't wait. I looked up a couple of deck lists. I've seen the Bowmasters do their damage, and yeah, maybe some people are doubting it. Maybe it's gonna be overhyped. Maybe it's not gonna make as big of an impact as we expect. But I mean, drawing cards, killing one toughness creatures, that sounds like Legacy. And yeah, especially since the Bowmasters are killing each other. It's going to be a mess, and I'm going to be there to watch it, and it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be great. I'm really excited to see if something like Grixis Delver deck we haven't seen in a long time, can something like that come back too, right? Also, it feels like, and you're the Legacy expert here, let me know what you think. My understanding is Delver has been underrepresented currently in the Magic Online metagame since the last round of the bannings. Is that kind of the case, or is this a situation of players overhyping and sort of things like Cephalid Breakfast sort of, stealing the show, as it were?
That's interesting. We see less Delver in general, like only to a certain degree, right? Because it's still going to be one of the most popular decks. But you're right, it's somewhat toned down. Cephalid Breakfast over the last couple of weeks, month, maybe one of the very best decks in the format. And Breakfast itself is kind of susceptible to Bowmaster, right? Plays a lot of like one toughness creatures, could be interrupted by them. And the people have like made predictions that the deck is going to be less successful going forward. What I'm just here and excited about in the first place is that Black is a real color in Legacy again, right? Black for quite a while in Legacy was more like a combo enabler card or a combo enabler color. But now we can actually use it. You mentioned Grixis Delver, right? Grixis Delver hasn't been really a big thing in quite a while. Now it's most likely coming back, maybe in a more mid-range version of itself. And all of a sudden, like, it makes sense to have like all these good black cards available that previously didn't have a home, that might now have a home again. And we will see like the more colors can become core colors and not like just something you randomly special on the sideboard, the more exciting the metagame is going to be. Because yeah, I mean, you might remember this, right? For the longest of times we had like Izzet Delver is the most played, it's basically the Delver deck. But if you go back a couple of years, we had like Bug Delver, we had Izzet Delver, we had like Rug Delver, we had all kinds of Delver. People played like Patriot, like the Jeskai Delver decks. And the more colors are playable, the more variety we're going to see, and Bowmaster adds to that. Hopefully it's not going to be too oppressive on the one toughness cards.
I agree. I'm going to be really interested to see. I do hate, there's a love-hate, right? So I love that the orcs are killing the elves. Like, if you still played Glimpse elves, we're back in we've done a rewind. I was not expecting this.
You rewind, holy
the
library looks pretty small. I think we didn't do a full rewind, didn't we?
I don't think we did a full rewind. I think we have gone to a spot where we maybe have some of our endurances.
Oh, next Judge Code coming up. Groundhog Day continues.
Come back to the I'll collect myself in a second. All right, I'm a professional and scene. All right, let's go. I can't stop. Caleb's face was just like, not like this. My partner's watching the future match. All I've done is play the ring. What's happening? Oh my goodness gracious! My hair's out of control, Julian. That's all I know.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, I'm trying to stay in control. Actually, I got a USB fan to stay cool.
Nice.
Like, yeah, because
we were like, pretty cool to me.
Yeah. I was just hoping it wasn't going to make a lot of sound. But yeah, players look pretty relaxed. So I think they're only figuring out like a minor detail of how the game state should actually look like. And yeah, as we go back, they think they got this cleared up.
Nice. All right. This might have just been a small little, let's double check we're actually supposed to be at the spot here. And let's see. So I'm going to try and figure out what's happened. So I think what's happened is we have done the endurances. We have let the Solitude resolve. And now Cris has every card in his deck except for the ones that we see in the endurance in his hand.
Yeah, my money is on the guy with like 40 cards in hand.
Honestly, I normally would be, and I think we're in a good spot, but it's definitely possible Caleb just beats him, because so Cris is going to have the 7 perfect cards he wants, right? And he's going to have like endurance on top of his deck, so he'll get his cards back in his deck. So he'll have Yawgmoth, he'll have like chords and stuff like that. But if Caleb has the right interaction, it might not matter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean
that would be quite something.
Yeah, if Caleb can just like counter, let's see if Caleb's playing counters, but I doubt it. Most players have moved off it. He has Leyline Bindings and stuff. Yeah, so I guess, all right, so Caleb does have Fury. So this turn, Caleb can shoot down enough of Chris's creatures and get us to a spot where things are like under control. We can win this game. So if we go like Fury, kill the Delighted Halfling, kill the Birds of Paradise, kill the Young Wolf with the Undying counter, and then Prismatic Ending the one Young Wolf, we would be in a spot where the game's going to go on for a bit, but we have the ring, and it'll take Cris a while to rebuild all of that. So it is unlikely, I think, for Caleb to mount a full comeback anytime soon. but getting it isn't that unreasonable. I know Cris just drew 48 cards, but Caleb is going to draw 4 cards. That's pretty good.
So what if Caleb actually gets down Elishnor next turn? Is that gonna be like lights out for Cris, or does he have ways around that?
I need to read how Delighted Halfling works, and how Sam Gamgee works. I believe that's lights out, which I had not considered because I thought Cris had Blood Artist in this deck. But since Cris doesn't have Blood Artist, you brought up a great point, Julian. I think Elishnor and Mommy is going to be a game-ending play here.
Oh,
well, yeah, and now Caleb's like, let me see the deck.
Okay. He's like probably like admiring all the foils that Cris has amassed here. Like, oh, dude, this is such a sweet card.
He's just like, dang, your deck's nice.
You know, your opponent has a ton of cards in his hands when you need both hands to look at your opponent's hand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you got to put your hand down, extend. And now Caleb's going to untap, lose the life of the ring. And this is a big spot here. You know, you see Caleb's a little frustrated, and it's understandable. We're human. We're going to make mistakes. But what I always tell people is you have the rest of your life to hate yourself for making this mistake. You got 45 minutes to win this round. Let's just do the best we can and move forward. And that's what we need to hear from Cris.
I mean, it also must be like kind of menacing for Caleb when you think about your opponent just got to literally demonic tutor 7 times. Like you put together the perfect hand that you like. There's no better hand that you can ever wish for that you are having right now. Okay, step 1, Solitude.
Yeah, Hardcast Solitude is a rough look at it. Would have really loved it. The gist is that they would rewind what they could. Okay, so we just got word from coverage. Basically, they did what they could.
I mean, certainly.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. I think this is the best thing we can sort of do and can maintain game state. If you're a Caleb fan, I think we need a Fury there. Although Solitude hitting the Halfling, I don't know, without Cris having Sam and Cauldron and a sack outlet, which I don't think he can play everything this turn. I don't think he can draw through his deck. But he's very close to winning because he has 7 mana. Oh, actually, 7's exactly enough to win, as long as he has enough black mana to play Yogg and the Cauldron Familiar.
You think like Caleb is gonna have to say something about like how he plays 4 copies of Solitude? The Endurance, I guess Endurance could also stop something, I would guess. What is that? I've never seen that one, that promo.
That's Sam. That's Sam Gamwise.
Oh, okay. Oh, and Caleb Pexident's like, okay, Sam, I can't beat Sam. Let's go to the next game.
Yeah, it's super awkward there too, because from his perspective, it kind of has to kill something. But Caleb's sideboard here is pulled on up. There's a lot of tools typically that these decks can play for Yawgmoth. We'll see what Caleb has though. We have Path to Exile, an oldie but a goodie. That's pretty good. Engineered Explosives, not quite a card that we're super happy to have, but it can throw off some of these combos. And without Blood Artist and the Sam stuff, we might be able to just EE on 2, and even just blowing up and stopping the ability to ping pong Strangleroot Geist back and forth and draw cards can be really impactful. Endurance, really good at stopping the Undying effect. So that's a way to combine. You can use Ren 6 minus Flash and Endurance. That's a way to kill something that can be pretty good. And then Change the Equation is a card that I think would be pretty good here. Counters most everything but Yawgmoth, which is, I actually think, fine, because we have 4 Yawgmoths, but we have 8 tutors for Yawgmoth. So they would, I guess it doesn't hit Chord of Calling, because Chord of Calling is 7 on the X. So I guess that's not actually something you want. That's my mistake there. But typically, I think those are the cards we bring in.
Also, basically, like you mentioned, right, in the first game, it could have made a difference if Caleb had access to some sort of counter spell. So this way we can actually diversify our hate and like not only having removal spells, we're also going to hit the graveyard and we're going to hit the stack. So that's something you can do. What do you take out? Like, what's not exactly great? I don't know if you need like 4 copies of the One Ring. I don't know.
I think 2 bolts pretty quick to come. Like, that's kind of a low impact card in this matchup. I could see trimming on some copies of the One Ring because you don't need infinity rings. And then Teferi Time Raveler is not very good in this matchup. So I would probably start with me being on the play and this deck not having Delighted Halfling in its deck. I think I would just end up trimming my Teferis down to like 1, and then probably end up cutting a ring and a bolt. Having a single bolt can be fine. There's, like we mentioned, you can kill one of the undying creatures when it's already lost a counter, and that can be pretty good. And also just bolting down like a birds or a halfling, that sort of thing can be pretty reasonable. From the Yawgmoth side, I'm curious to see what Cris has available for him. Thoughtseize and Torok Dread Cantor are 2 cards that can be pretty good at sort of clearing the way. He also has Boromir, Warden of the
dude.
Yeah. I don't think that's for this matchup, but that is a very cool card that has high impact on a lot of other ones. We might see Haywire might come in. That can both stop the ring and stop Leyline Binding. 2 pretty important cards, I think, in the matchup. And then I love this from Cris. This is something that we used to see the Amulet players do, Julian, and now the Yawgmoth players are doing it with Phyrexian Metamorph. So this can be copied for extra pieces, but also it can copy their One Ring. So if my opponent's trying to go,
we got a 4th string.
Yeah, you got a counterfeit ring going on over there with the Phyrexian Metamorph. And then also, Cris has Shieldred the Apocalypse in the sideboard. Historically, this card's been good against decks like Rhinos, right? You play it, locks the battlefield down, and it's a combo piece, right? If you pay a life to draw a card, you up 2 life, you can draw your whole deck. Against the One Ring, it's incredibly backbreaking. If you slam Shieldred, then they start drawing cards, they start losing 2 life right away.
That life loss is gonna go complete. Like it's basically turning off the One Ring. I would like think.
Mm-hmm.
So this is always like the big thing about these like synergy, super synergy based decks. What do we take out in the Yagmoth deck here? It's like I'm looking at this and I'm completely lost.
Yeah, I think it depends a lot in the way in which you want to approach the game. My first thought is that Vizier of Poisons is kind of a card that's good against opposing creature decks. This is one that with a -1/-1 counters put on something, you make a snake. This can be a combo piece with Yawgmoth, but also just a really good way to shoot down opposing creatures with Yawg plus it. So I think that one's probably going to go because while there are some creatures in the deck, there's not really enough. I could see us trimming on Endurance. And then I can imagine probably getting rid of Birds of Paradise. A lot of early removal gets got there. I could also see trimming Delighted Halfling. It's pretty good, but we want to kind of play a longer, more grindy game. I think all our Grists are really good. We don't want to cut our Yawgmoths. And there doesn't seem to be Eldritch Evolution and high numbers in this deck. We're already at 2. You would often see players trim 2 of them if they thought their opponent were going to have counterspells. So Cris might end up trimming all the Eldritch Evolutions because of Change the Equation. There might be some respect for that card. But typically players went to 1 or 2 copies post-board. So with Cris already at 2, I imagine those cards will stay in. We might just see some trimming around the edges.
Okay. So both players are drawing the opening hand here. We see whether it's going to be a 7 all around. Whom do you like post-board?
I like Caleb just in the matchup, even pre-board and post-board. I think Caleb's deck is pretty favored. Chris's deck has gotten a lot better upgrades, I think, when it comes to synergizing. But Cris has also taken it a really unique direction. So it's hard for me to exactly tell if this direction is helpful in this matchup or better in other ones. So I think losing the clean kill with Blood Artist has changed things a little bit.
Something I'm actually wondering that we didn't talk about or see in action at all is actually like Grist. How much of a role does Grist play in that matchup? Like if you can get it down, can you just like, is it good enough to carry the game on its own?
Yeah, Grist, if you get it down quick enough, it can be good as long as like something like Omnath isn't there or a Fury to sort of clean up those sort of cards and apply pressure. Grist often can't really win enough, I would say. It's really good at sort of buying resources out of Caleb and getting a couple cards there and then overpowering them later in the game.
Okay. So we see the Yagmoth once again coming down on the first turn, being dealt with Prismatic Ending. And what's this going to be? Is this going to be like some kind of acceleration? Maybe Wall of Roots?
It looks
no, Strangleroot Geist. Yeah, and we get in there. Take the damage.
A lot of roots in this deck.
Rooty. Back to the roots.
Rudy Tooty.
Okay, Caleb. But dude, is that a triumph? Like, both of those triumphs at this point?
Yeah, that's Idatha and Rogran.
We actually know the names of all the triumphs. Like, I always figure when I'm looking at deck list, and there's a single card I don't know. It's either like from a new set or it's a triumph.
Yeah. I actually how I got on coverage is, earlier I talked my secrets about if they don't have any lands, they have a lot of spells. My other one is I know all the alternate arts. Ironically, a powerful ability for the feature match area, as we do see a Red and 6 here. And we might minus in order to, remove a counter. I think that's a little early. We can kind of just, buy some time. But that is unironically a thing you might see here is Caleb might minus the Strangleroot Geist, have it undie, and then bolt it down.
Oh, so you get it. Yeah, okay. In the end, you only spent 1 spell on it, so that's kind of fair. it makes sense, I guess.
Thoughtseize being cast.
Okay, what do we got here? We got an Endurance. We got, I think that's a Solitude and a Ren and 6, right?
Yep. And then Hallowed Fountain, Temple Garden.
Yeah, 2 lands.
And that we mentioned this during sideboarding, right, Julian? How we might be able to minus and then flash an Endurance to finish off one of the Undying creatures. And yeah, it looks like Chris is kind of worried about it too.
I mean, I like that play if you actually if you properly cast it, if it actually sticks around. But if you just evoke it to get that, I mean, that's a very specific spot where you want to do that, maybe to disrupt a combo that would otherwise go off. But yeah, Chris agrees. This is the card that I care the most about. Second, Red and 6, probably not so much. And then a Solitude that would need to get hardcast right now.
Yep. Looks like Chris is doing a little fetching. Maybe another Strangleroot.
Mm-hmm. Just keep the beatdown going.
Yeah, just attack the Ren and kill it.
Yeah, get rid of it.
Honestly, you maybe attack Caleb because there's another Ren in hand and just be like, yeah, you're going to fetch shock, not against me.
Here we go. And we're actually going to see, is it going to be Caleb? Yeah, it's straight to the face. You take the damage. Awesome.
Yeah. Go to 12, go to 11 on your fetch.
Halfway there almost.
Yeah. You know what card would be kind of nice right now, Julian?
Deal 11 damage.
The One Ring.
Ooh, okay, yeah, sign me up.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to say maybe he could have it. Actually, we saw his hand. He doesn't have it. But you can always draw it. The ring comes to you when in the time of need or something. I completely made up that part of the lore. And I think that's not even true.
I think it sounds right.
But if Caleb didn't draw anything, he literally can't draw. Yeah, he just gets the land back. Still needs one more turn to cast the Solitude. But the Solitude, that's going to be fine. Unless, I guess Chris gets some kind of sack outlet going to kind of get around that. Oh, yeah. And speaking of... Heard the deck likes that. Okay, and now we actually get to deal 6 damage, right? If you want to.
Yeah, we can deal 6. Caleb should be at 12. Our life total is just a little behind right now.
Yeah, it froze up, I guess. Or maybe they didn't update the life pad.
It's all good. It happens. It is notable that Caleb didn't play the shock land tapped, instead chose to play the fetch land. So he's going to end up losing more life if he has to shock in next turn, whereas to fetch again, you could have played your land tapped, untapped, play your fetch to get a basic. So
yeah. If you want to go to 5 mana next turn.
Yeah, so it's possible Caleb has a card, although it's also possible Caleb just heuristic did it.
That's going to be pretty rough. Actually, we were at 11 because of the fetch land. -6 down to 5. And this is scary. You might even be able to just, even if Caleb gets to a point where he can stabilize the board, Chris might be able to, piece together a couple of cards and just randomly, I don't know, Cauldron Familiar out Caleb at this point.
Yeah, honestly. We are very close. As we do grab a Stomping Grounds here. It's also really awkward for Caleb because he kind of needs to stop the Yogg and stop the rest of the board, but he doesn't really have cards for that. He doesn't have Supreme Verdict in his deck or anything.
Didn't you actually teach me that you either go for one half of the combo or the other? You either go for the engine or you go for the creatures. And here it feels like we need to go for both.
Yeah. I guess we could Ren 6 minus on the Strangleroot Geist, play the next Ren, minus again, and then somehow kill the Yogg, evoke a Solitude. All of that would work.
And then we basically spend our entire hand on doing that, something kind of.
Yeah, and then Chris will just draw his whole deck again.
That seems not very preferable for Caleb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is part of the problem here is that Chris stopped drawing cards, so he probably has another Yogg. But also, what else is Caleb supposed to do? He's got to hope Chris makes a mistake.
I mean, if that's your only hope that your opponent makes a mistake, then you do everything you can to put them in position to make the mistake. And here comes Grist and the game.
Yeah, Grist and Delighted Halfling, and that's
easy
enough. Yeah, minus there. So in case you're at home, Grist, you can sack a creature. We're sacking the Halfling. We're killing the Solitude, and Chris moves on to 4-0, an impressive showing so far from Yawgmoth. We are going to have an interview with Chris here. We're going to give him a second to get on over to that area. And then after that, we do have more magic for you. So don't tune away. Make sure to click that follow button right now. But Julian, that was a cool round. Did you like watching the Yawgmoth in action?
I could watch it all day, every day. I don't want to jinx it, but I think I'm never gonna go tired of watching Yagmoth. That's exactly the kind of Magic I want to play. Give me more.
More Yawgmoth. Well, the way Cris is playing, you might be seeing more of Cris in our top 8 later tonight. So it's going to be exciting to see there. I believe, it's just a couple more rounds he has to draw in. And Cris is one of our players, Julian, who is on our leaderboard race, trying to make that championship at the end of the year with his teammate, Steven Dykman from Swish Gaming.
Unsurprisingly, I gotta say. Like, such a powerful performance.
Yep. Yeah, really showing some mastery of the deck. And you know what? If you're enjoying this and you want to also master these decks, you can come out to one of our events. We have other ones coming up. While Cris is coming up here really quick, our next one is in St. Louis. It's going to be the 8th through the 9th. It's a team showdown. The team event is Modern, Pioneer, and Legacy. Sunday, Legacy 5K trial. After that, we have Detroit. That is going to be on August 12th through the 13th, and that's going to be Modern and Pioneer as well. So that's pretty exciting. And then we're going to go on over to October. We're going to be in Indianapolis. We have a Pioneer 10K. Once again, if you win any of these showdowns, basically our Saturday events, you're going straight to our championship. So it's still live, even if you don't have a lot of points on the leaderboard to make it. And then Sunday, we have another team trial. That's going to be Pioneer, Modern, Legacy. Once again, if you're a Legacy fan, we love you here on the NRG Series. You want to make sure to come to these events, etc. And Cris is ready for our interview, so let's head on down to Cris and see how he's doing. Congratulations, Cris, on being undefeated so far in the tournament.
Thank you. It's a little bit of a surprise, but I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah, what's the surprise? You're crushing all the time with Yawgmoth. What's going on?
I decided last minute to try something new where I took out the Blood Artist, and I was trying to play a new version that doesn't focus on it focuses on trying to combo kill, but you don't have like that dead card of Blood Artist in your deck, and you have the backup combo of Samwise, Cauldron Familiar, and Viscera Seer. And like there's this long convoluted combo that I was trying to execute that you saw in coverage that I kind of just completely forgot that there was a Solitude trigger on the stack. But like in short, the combo, I would be tucking the 1-drop back in to get a creature back out, so then I can chord for my Prosperous Innkeepers, and I could just keep looping that and make 4 treasures and then just hard cast my combo. But I was trying to shortcut on coverage to make it easier. And
okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
How many people are there in the world who actually know how to execute that combo? Because that looked absolutely impressive.
So the normal combo is pretty like self-explanatory because you just have the 2 undying creatures, Yogg and Blood Artist or whatever. This new combo, I believe it's a Reddit and Discord user named Awesome Possum. He also plays MTGO. That told me about this combo on Thursday, and I was all for not playing Blood Artists in my deck because I hate drawing that card. And I spent the entirety of yesterday practicing how to do it at sorcery speed, and I was learning how to do it at instant speed. I was up until like 2:30 in the morning practicing it, and I almost missed the event today because I slept in.
Nice.
You know, that kind of reminds me, like you're some kind of like Jedi student. You're trying to control the Force, like lift the X-Wing out of the swamp, and you learned how to do it, and now you got these special skills. Because I just talked to Mason, like Yagmoth is a deck I absolutely love. I kind of want to build that deck. I'm super scared of learning that deck, and now that I've learned that there's like this next level that that maybe not came up with but mastered. Oh, maybe I'm just gonna go back to burn. I don't know, but this is something I want to do, and you made it look absolutely amazing.
I appreciate it. The other cool part about it is after the event, I plan on putting out a little like description of how the combo is supposed to work. But it's like a 13-part combo in order to get the kill. But it meant that I didn't have to play Blood Artist, so I was doing my best to learn it.
Your hate from Blood Artist is really like like nothing else.
I also cut Dryad Arbor from my deck because I hate drawing that card, and I refuse to play tap lands, so I wasn't playing the Arboreal Grazer build this weekend. So I was doing my best.
How has Delighted Halfling been, by the way?
That card is phenomenal. Like I was playing against Murktide. I went turn 1, play that. Turn 2, slam Grist, and they look at their counterspell in hand and go, "Uh-oh," and then Grist just takes over the game. And then there's some awkward times where it doesn't feel as good because you can't do like your turn 1 Halfling, turn 2 Wall Roots into Strangleroot Geist. as like easily. But overall, I think that card is phenomenal, and I'm super happy with it in Yogg.
So I have one more question for you.
One more.
Well, maybe Mason get more.
Okay.
When are you gonna port this deck into Legacy? Because I want to play this deck in Legacy.
Funny enough, I have already built a version of it in Legacy, and I 4-1 to League with it.
Okay,
And then
okay.
I 0-5 the next one.
Oh.
And
respect for the 0-5. 0-4 still going.
So like it felt really good to be able to like Hapatra combo in Legacy because elves can't beat that. But you're very vulnerable to Wasteland with this deck because you're a very mana intensive deck, and I don't think it'll be super possible in that format.
Do you think your deck lines up well against Orcish Bowmaster?
Yes, because I can just Yogg kill it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, Cris, thank you so much for taking some time to talk to us. Go have some time between your rounds, relax. We'll probably be seeing you more at the rate which you're going today. We're going to be going to our game 3 of our backup match. So don't go anywhere. We're going to have some more magic come for you right now. As this match has already been going, we have time in the round sort of happening, and we can't get through all of it. So we are going to just jump into the middle of game number 3 here. I thought my time was perfect there, and they got me, Julian. All right, there we go. So you see Connor Mullally versus Ray Ray here. Connor is our player of the year last year here on the NRG series, and they're in game 3 with Blood Moon in play versus the 4-color Reanimator deck from Ray Ray.
Yeah, and you already called it, right? Actually, is that Blood Moon in play? It looks like it's in a graveyard.
Oh, I got to change the equation. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, there it is. Otherwise, it would be like probably like pretty big problem for the Ray. That 4-color Reanimator deck, by the way, it's super interesting. Like it has that aspect of just like reanimating, most commonly Archon of Cruelty, but it also has that like whole ephemerate thing where you evoke something out and then like you ephemerate it. You can also, you got Ether Mage's Touch, and I don't know how common the card is in Modern. I think I've seen it like here and there, where you reveal the top 4 cards and then get a creature into play from those, which basically dies at the end of turn. But of course, you can play around that with like ephemerate, persistent stuff. So that's kind of cool. While on the other side of the board, Connor is playing Teemo Rhinos, the deck we know and love. There's the aforementioned Rhinos in play right now. And who's ahead on this board? It's kind of hard to tell with Reanimator decks, right? They might just like explode out of nowhere.
Yeah, I was going to say, so it's hard to know because there's nothing even that good in the graveyard. Oh, and that Blood Moon is going to be good. Now, we do have the Goblin Shaman token, so we kind of have a one-shot make a treasure to cast a spell. But yeah, if Ray Ray can't, put something in the graveyard due to the Fable of the Mirror Breaker loot here in a second, we're probably going to be heavily favored Connor.
Yeah, you probably like really want to get those Archon down. We could next turn, as you mentioned, we're going to get a basic. This is an island, I would believe. Kind of hard to tell. I think the other one is a swamp, so that gives us access to like basically our 2 core colors. So Ray can still play the game under Blood Moon, but it's certainly going to be annoying.
Yeah, I think those are both islands. I think they're the same.
Are those both islands? I thought like the other one might be a swamp, but I'm not sure. You're the master. Yeah. You're the master of alternate arts. I'm gonna trust you.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, this is the new Hobbit ones, I believe.
Actually, he only plays a single island, so it's probably gonna be a swamp or a plains.
Okay, all right, there's swamp or plains. All right, the Hobbit ones have put me for a loop.
There's also stuff like Sarah's Emissary in the board, which is, I guess, kind of cool if you can like put that on creature or something.
Oh, we're just getting 2 lands here. If we don't have a way to cheat in a creature, we're gonna be in trouble. Now, we said we have like Ephemerate in our deck, right? So maybe if we can find one of those.
Yeah, I mean, if we get like Solitude and then like we Ephemerate that one, that's certainly gonna like slow down Connor a lot. And I mean, we're still sitting at 17. From there, we can actually try to build the game, but we would need the basic planes, and I'm not sure that we actually like have. I guess this way we can get it. You mentioned it, right? We got the one shot, like it's creating basically a Lotus Petal treasure token here.
I love the double block, by the way. Good tight technical play. We have a Leyline Binding in hand, and so we have the 2 basics, and then we have the treasure, and then we have a mountain. So we're gonna be able to play the binding and cast our spells again. The problem is we're binding down this Blood Moon while this army is attacking us.
is asking about the Murktide coming down after the Blood Moon. I don't know. Maybe Connor floated the mana. Actually,
Yeah, I think Connor floated the mana. You'll note that he, the Fiery Islet was tapped. Like he paid 4 mana because he floated.
Okay, at least we were able to get the Blood Moon now. All of our cards are going to be playable again from Ray's side, but he doesn't look too happy, right? And I mean, I can tell, like, there's a lot of pressure coming down from Connor's side, and we haven't even talked about what Connor might actually have in hand. It's kind of hard to see how many cards those are going to be, but since he's shuffling. Okay, okay, another Leyline Binding, slowly stemming the bleeding. I would guess that's going to go after the Murktide. Yeah, sure. Take that one out.
Yep. As Connor takes, I'm sorry, Ray takes 8 from Connor. Surprised not to see the draw and response. I guess you don't have the mana to force negation anyway, so.
So right now, Connor can get Ray down to a single point of life, and that's gonna get the Blood Moon back, which is interestingly actually gonna give Ray his last basic land. Like it's from what I can see here, it's Swamp Island, and that's gonna give him the plains.
Yeah, and if we have Solitude Ephemerate with Evoke, that would be enough to win here.
Let's see if that's gonna be it. Like there's 4 copies of Solitude, 4 copies of Ephemerate, none in the graveyard thus far. I mean, there's a chance.
Yeah, and also if we do this and untap and we like make it to the next turn, we have Fable plus Solitude. That's like really hard for Connor to actually beat. So
Ray could also draw 2 copies of the Engineer Explosives in the sideboard, which is also gonna like swing around everything. Okay, that's a Shadow Prophecy, right? Where we get to draw like 3 cards or something.
Yes.
Oh no, we look at the top 3 and basically get to keep the. Oh, how does it work? Yeah. Oh yeah, the number of base. It's one of those domain spells, right? Okay, cool.
Yes, and you lose 2 life. I think there's some reason Ray couldn't cast it. I guess he didn't have the black mana or something, or maybe chose not to. Oh, you know what it is? It's like you lose 2 life from that spell. I think our graphic is wrong. I think he's at 1, like you mentioned.
Okay, in
and
that
so
case,
if he casts it, he
not
loses
cast
the game. Yeah. We have an Archon in hand? Is there any way to like discard the Archon like a... All right, maybe our life total thing isn't wrong.
Maybe we actually are at 9 and soon to be 7.
Yeah. Well, there's an Archon of Cruelties.
Well, the Shadow Prophecy is going to put some cards into the graveyard, right? All the ones you don't take. There's a Solitude going either into our hand or the graveyard. So, you know, maybe. We're not sure what exactly the play is here.
I'm not either. Looks like, yeah, the Archon in the graveyard makes a lot of sense to me.
It looks like Connor only has a single card in hand.
Yeah.
So at this point, there's a good chance that Ray can mount a comeback, but he needs something extra now.
Agreed. I
mean, actually 2 cards in Connor's hand. Okay.
Oh, Ray has Ephemerate Solitude, but no last white card.
So he's gonna be forced to pitch the Ephemerate to Solitude then.
Yeah, well, we can chump block and go to 1. Okay, I was gonna say you could have chump blocked and gone to 1, and if you draw a white card, you have Ephemerate to kill both of the Rhinos. But it looks like Ray is gonna try and play around that and give himself a little bit more of a draw step.
Taking out one of those, going down to 3.
So yeah, Ray has 2 turn spot. Looks like we're Violent Outbursting now. It's going to put more Rhinos and push 1 more damage. So Ray down to 2.
I mean, yeah, I guess you just gotta let that happen. So he's got another Shadow Prophecy in hand, and I think another Archon, both of which don't really do anything here, I guess. Also important for Connor to actually put Ray to 2 instead of 3, because that way he actually can't cast another Shadow Prophecy. I guess he can cast it, but he would die to it.
It would be ill-advised.
Yeah.
So
Please sign up to my Patreon where I explain Magic.
Yes, yeah. I'm on my way. I guess Persist is the draw. If we draw Persist, we bring back Archon, we copy it with the Fable, gain a bunch of life, do everything.
Oh, that'll be it, dude.
Oh, it was a change the equation, I think was the pickup for the turn. Not going to do it here for Ray. That Violent Outburst, so pivotal to be that card and nothing else, because if our life total is correct, and Ray is, casting his lethal there, and that could have been it. Wow, what a crazy round for us to come in there at the end. Congratulations, Connor Lely. Moving on to 4-0 in our tournament. Whew.
Would have loved to
today.
see which kind of cards that Shadow Prophecy would have actually revealed, whether it would have made it, because it was a heads-up play, right, from Connor to deal that 1 extra point of damage. I mean, you would probably like do it anyway, but not necessarily during the attack, and that could have made all the difference.
Yeah, no, I mean, those little small edges, literally, imagine we find, persist like we talked about. Connor probably doesn't win. Loses 2 Rhinos. Ray gains 9 life, draws 3. I'm sorry, loses all the Rhinos from the attack trigger from the Fable. The game's over, right? And that little thing really did seal it up, and that is it for a lot of people in Magic, is inches, not miles. I'm unsure on how much time we have left in the round. Maybe the producer can let us know, but I do know that I want to quickly talk about our other events coming up really quick, because if you're liking this one and you want to come out and play some more, we have some for you this year. St. Louis, July 8th through the 9th. We have a Saturday 10K team showdown. That's Pioneer, Modern, Legacy. Coming out there, go to nerdrangegaming.com to pick up your cards that you need from Lord of the Rings in order to play, just around the corner. And then we have a Sunday 5K Legacy trial. That's going to be really fun. Love Legacy. We have it tomorrow on stream, and so much of it here in July. Meanwhile, in Detroit in August, we have the Modern 10K Showdown, and then we have a Sunday 5K Pioneer trial. This is going to be around the time that's the end of the Pioneer season for the RC, heading into Modern. So you get a little bit of practice there for your last couple rounds, and this. Also, all of our events are RCQs as well. Then at the Indianapolis, I believe, is our next event here in October 14th to the 15th. We have a Pioneer 10K Showdown, and then another team trial Sunday, Modern, Pioneer, Legacy. Come on out, get 2 of your friends. We also have RCQs going on, the side events for all these things. There's a lot going on at these events. You don't want to miss them. You're playing for thousands of dollars and leaderboard points for end of the year championship. You win a showdown, you get a token. There's a lot of action going on here on the NRG series. So you do not want to miss any of that. So come out to the events. We'd love to see you there. And speaking of love to see Magic, Julian, we'd love to see some more. But I think we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back very soon with some more Magic the Gathering in round number 5.